Hello, welcome to Treasures of Knowledge with Kimberley. This is a YouTube channel on the discussion of scriptures. This year's segment is on the Old Testament, and today's episode is on the chronology of the Old Testament. First off, I'd like to just begin with explaining that the Old Testament has a thematic structure where there are four themes that predominantly run through the books. Starting with the first 5 books, it's largely on the law and the covenant. The next would be on the history portion, which covers the kings and the children of Israel's history. Third is on the poetic segment, and fourth, the oracles of the prophets. And the book does have a chronological order, but it's not always true, a true timeline. And the books do kind of get out of chronological order. So keep that in mind as you're trying to piece the timeline together of events. So I subscribe to the theology that we have peopled the earth for 6,000 years, and that there is 1,000 years ahead of us during the millennial reign. And that is to say that there have been 2,000 years since Christ's birth and 4,000 years before he was born. And so any dates I use are really very general, and I tend to round up on dates. And you'll find that many dates are very hard to have a definitive time frame, and it's just good to know that as well. And so let's just start and say that Adam was born about 4,000 BC, and he lived, according to Genesis, 930 years. He covers about the first 5 chapters of Genesis. Then you have Noah, that Genesis says he lived 950 years. Then he covers the next 7 chapters of Genesis. And then we go into Abraham, who covers about almost 40 chapters in Genesis. Abraham lives about 175 years. Then we have Moses. He comes on the scene about 1300 BC. And it is Moses actually that writes the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And those 5 books are also known as the Pentateuch, or the Torah as well. And so the Moses is given a set of records from the fathers or from the patriarchs. So he has a bit of history that has been handed down to him. And he also, though, has a device called the Urim and Thummim. This is talked about in Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Now, we have heard that term before, and we know that the Jaredites in the Book of Mormon had a Urim and Thummim, and they were put with their records for those who received them to be able to translate them. And those were handed down to Joseph Smith, who used them in the translating of the Book of Mormon. So that's kind of a neat tie there. Now, Moses writes the first 5 books, and again, he is about 1400 years BC. And I would like to share with you my index in the beginning of my Bible, and kind of explain to you a little bit about what's going on with the authors. Again, the first 5 books Moses is writing, and then we run into Joshua and Judges, Samuel, we run into Kings, Chronicles, then we come down to Nehemiah and Ezra. And roughly that is where Ezra is about a 500 BC, and then the next prophet in line would actually be Malachi. Malachi lives roughly about 400 BC. Depends on which timeline you're reading, and I subscribe to the timeline from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, found in their Old Testament manual. And I'll put a link to that for you to cross-reference, but a lot of my dates come from that. So once Malachi is done writing, he's about 400 years BC, and Malachi is the last prophet that writes in the Old Testament. So much of after Ezra and up to Malachi, what's written by these prophets happen during these time periods. So after Malachi writes, there is a period of about roughly 400 years where there isn't any record of prophets or prophecy, at least compiled and put into the version of our King James Bible today, and is largely known as the 400 years of silence. And that's something that I kind of recently discovered and didn't understand. I thought that the history of the Old Testament buttressed to the New Testament, and that's not the case. So this is the chronology of the Old Testament. I hope that this was enlightening to you, and that you'll look forward to joining us on our next episode.